Welcome back to the Moonlit Circle, my loves. My name is Gwendie Belle Moone, and today we begin the very first chapter of my anthology. This section is called The Metamorphosis. It's my body story, it's my weight story, and the long road between who I was and who I've become. So, before we begin, a tiny care reminder. This series explores body image, shame, childhood memories, medical trauma, identity. Please care for your heart first and step away if you need to. You're always safe to pause, come back later, but I don't want any of this information to trigger you, so please take care of yourself first. Now that everyone is heard and making the safest choices for themselves, I'll review my stats to give everyone a good idea of what this journey is going to look like. I'm going to show some pictures up here where I was in Europe, November 2023, versus immediate post-op pics versus current day. So here they are. I'm 5'6", and I started this particular journey 3 years ago at 335 pounds prior to working with my surgeon. Prior to that, I had worked with an integral uh, medical specialist and had dropped about 20 pounds before surgery. And so on day of surgery, I weighed 315 pounds. And I've ended up current day at my goal weight of 175 pounds. I promised myself I would share this story as soon as I reached my goal. So here we go. Buckle up. So the first thing I really kind of wanted to tackle was just, the history of myself, and where some of the origins of my weight issues stemmed from. And I want this to be grounded in honesty. So there's going to be some things that hurt along the way here. So by the summer before the second grade, I was already overweight. I have spent much of my life in an overweight state. And don't you know, it was absolutely the end of my existence every time through grade school I had to get up in front of the entire gym to get weighed for the presidential physical fitness test. That was a hard one. Giving those other kids ammunition to harm me 1,000 ways to Sunday. I know now that truly nobody cared. And, the ones that did say something really didn't matter. I get that as an adult. But to a 7-year-old girl, it was very devastating. And it was the ultimate humiliation every single time. But not quite as humiliating as having to do sweating with the oldies at home every day all summer long. That was horrific. But at my heaviest as a young adult, I actually reached upwards of 380 pounds. And that was around the age of 19. And these numbers are staggering, but they aren't here just for shock value. They're here because this story deserves accuracy, and I owe this to my younger self. She deserves someone to say what was real during that time. And here's what else I want you to understand as we go through this. When you hear 380 pounds, you might picture a statistic. But I picture a girl who tried so hard, a girl who did the sweat into the oldies in the living room that smelled like home, a girl who dreaded the gym scale more than any math test ever, a girl who hated that we had to shower in a gym room and someone had the potential to see me up close and personal, the part of me that I tried to hide from the world. A girl who didn't yet have language for the shame. What is that feeling that I was experiencing? I didn't even know. That little girl only knew the sound of laughter when it wasn't kind. And I carry that with me to this day. These numbers used to haunt me, and they used to define me. But today, they're just mile markers on a very long road I've walked barefoot with blisters in the dark and somehow still kept going. Some people say that surgery is the easy way out. I say it was a second chance at life. So I'm sharing this information because I want this circle to see the whole arc, not just the curated after version. Things brought me here to today, and I want to make sure that everyone understands that. It was a struggle. It was all of the attempts, all of the failures, the victories, the growth, the backslides, and the becoming, all of it. We're going to go over quite a lot of information. But the story isn't just about those numbers. It's about coming out on top on the other side of this. It's about resilience and survival. It's about putting myself first and loving myself enough to bring health into my life. It's about finally turning toward myself inside with honesty instead of hiding behind silence and just trying to shrink down so that people don't notice. And if younger me could hear me now, I hope that she would feel proud. I hope that she would know that, life is coming and the weight it doesn't reflect on the purpose that you have in life. Not because I'm smaller now. I don't say these things just because I'm smaller now, but because I became truthful along the way. That's what we're doing here, not for shock or drama. It's because, shame can't survive in the light. We're going to expose that because most of that, if not all of that, is internal. It's internalized shame. It doesn't come from the outside sources. Those can be easily ignored. It comes from inside. And I promised myself that this time I would tell the whole truth, even the parts that once felt too heavy to carry. Because a lot of what I went through as an overweight woman was very internally shameful, and I would choose to forget a lot of those rather than remember. But here I want to share the reality of the situation. So let's dig in. Okay, let's start at the beginning. The moment I realized that something was wrong with me. There wasn't anything wrong with me. I was different. But this part is hard. It's painful to swallow, and it shaped everything thereafter. Literally everything. So the first event in my life where I knew I was different was when I was in the second grade and a few of my girlfriends were whispering with some boys at the playground. The boys were trying to get them to lift their t-shirts to show their bellies. And the girls were giggling and they were too shy. And I, in that little moment of wanting to belong, wanting to be a part of the thrill of whatever these girls were giggling about, I just did it impulsively. I just raised my shirt up and showed my belly. And the second that I lifted my shirt, my entire world shifted. That's when the jeering started, the pointing, the hysterical laughing, the heat rising in my face, my own functional systems working so hard against me in the moment. The instant awareness that I was different in a bad way. I will never forget that moment. I had a big belly, And there was no cute little angle, no magical transformation. And right then, at 7 years old, I knew I was undesirable. Something to be shoved to the side, something to be made fun of. And that was the first time that I felt more like a thing than a girl. And I don't tell you this just for sympathy. I just want to really drive home where my motivations have been with health and pulling my life back together after being so morbidly obese. And growing up, my family didn't really understand my body either. My brother actually struggled with weight his whole life too, and the two of us existed inside of a family where the older generations were pretty fit and active and actually just really bewildered by our very existence. And that was hard as well. That was definitely hard. That was, to be pitted up against cousins and say, well, this one lost weight, why can't you? So, nothing really made sense to me then except food. Food did make sense. Food filled the empty places. It was my friend. It was my comfort. And in my tweens and early teen years, I remember wishing with really everything that I had in my soul that I could just pull up my stomach and cut it out. And, this organ, this belly, whatever this betrayer was, would just vanish from my life. Maybe I could pop it like a big pimple and the whole area would just deflate and go back to a normal size. I used to dream about stuff like that. That's how deep body shame sits when it begins before you even know who you are. So, I do have some very strong feelings about obesity taking part in the body positivity movement. Health at any size is honestly bullshit, guys. But we'll save that for another day. I digress. That is another topic. Confidence is one thing, but saying that you're healthy at 500 pounds is not, it's not cute. It's not demure. But, it wasn't very long before the scale kept going up and up and up and up. Over the teen years, I just kept gaining, and there were no dramatic breaks. There were no magical plateaus. Instead, it was just a relentless, unstoppable growth until I was around 19 years old. But here's the part that I need to say out loud, especially to anyone who lived something similar. This wasn't lack of discipline. It wasn't laziness. This was not failure of willpower. I literally had no idea what to do. And anything that was brought to me as a solution tended to be, from the 80s and early 90s, just fad diets or potentially straight up making sure that I wasn't eating at all. When I was 13, I actually lost a parent unexpectedly, and nothing in my world made sense after that. There was no roadmap for the kind of pain that breaks open inside a child and leaves them wandering around in their own life like a ghost in the hallway. And the adults around me, they weren't villains. They were hurting too. They were drowning in their own sorrow and their own loss and shock, their own emotional paralysis. And I get it. There simply wasn't enough of them left over to notice the girl quietly falling apart. So I did what I had always done when life felt too sharp or too loud or too empty. I turned to food. Because food never got overwhelmed. Food never shut down on me. Food never walked away. Food never told me that I needed to be better or more or different or less or better or, any of those things. Food just filled the places in me that no one else had the capacity to hold. So it wasn't comfort eating, even though I am from the South. It was survival eating. It was the only tether I had when every other piece of stability slipped out from underneath me. Food was always there. And to make it worse, high school has a cruel way of finding the softest, most vulnerable little spot in your mind and twisting it like a knife right there. So if anyone ever wanted to hurt me, they went straight for my weight. Direct hits, precise strikes to my body shame, because they knew my body was both an armor and my greatest wound. It's an easy target. And again, most of that is internalized. You can't necessarily blame the external world for how you process things inside. But I was a very confused kid, and that certainly did not help the situation. People did see what I carried and occasionally would use it against me. And so just to reiterate, no, this is not a story of laziness. This is a story of loneliness, actually. This is a story of loss and heartache. Teenager grieving without a guide, a girl whose body became the battlefield where life's unresolved pain showed up first. And that's the truth that I needed someone to name for the younger me, and the truth that I'm naming for her now. So I wanted to set a little bit of expectation for this new series before we close up today. I do want to reiterate that this is going to be short form. We do have longer form videos that are released every Monday for the Moonlit Circle, but here on Wednesdays we're going to stick to the Metamorphosis and my body transformation for probably several months. And I just wanted to tell you what is coming for the Metamorphosis, because these are like chapters of my life that we're going to explore, and we're going to do that with gentleness and honesty and without shame. And so some of the things that I'm going to tackle are, here, I'll list them out here for you, dating, being seen, parenting as an overweight person, traveling abroad, how Mr. Moon felt about my weight and my weight loss journey, every diet that I've ever tried, holistic attempts, why I avoided surgery for so long, the decision. I'll take you through my entire decision process on what changed my mind and what I wanted to go for when I finally did go for bariatric surgery. And then I'll take you through the actual prep and the day of surgery, and I will take you through the complications afterwards that may or may not be told to you beforehand. And what did that first month look like? What did it look like finding my equilibrium afterwards? And just really the whole start to finish, and afterwards, once I reached a pretty steady weight, I can even take you through my storyline of searching for a plastic surgeon for skin removal, and traveling out of state to do that. We actually traveled to Texas and stayed there for a little over a month with recovery. So that was quite the adventure. Houston, I do not miss your humidity. And the healing part after that plastic surgery, because whatever people tell you about getting a tummy tuck and abdominal repair, whatever they tell you the pain is going to be, you can just multiply that by 10 just for safety. And the healing all the way through. And I did have a couple of issues, a couple of medical issues that did pop up along the way. They are manageable, but pretty significant, and so wanted to share that with you as well. So what this series is not, it's not weight loss porn. Corn, weight loss, has its own special industry, and that's not what's here. I don't have any quick fixes for you. I don't have any pills or drugs or, any products that can make you turn into, your goal weight overnight. Even with the added benefit of the surgeries, this took a lot of work. So, there's plenty of that, stuff out there on the internet these days, but it's not going to be here. This is also not a before and after fairy tale. It's really a human story about becoming a girl, getting her life back together after being buried under debilitating pain and excess weight for such a long time. So, my moonbeams, if any of this resonates with you, if younger you felt seen here, if present day you felt held, then please come back next week on Wednesday for episode 2. Becoming Gwendie the Metamorphosis again is going to be around for a couple of months. I will pull it out into its own playlist on my channel for you, for your convenience if you're not interested in the other Moon Circle related events. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to become a part of this glowing little corner of the cosmos. New videos every Monday and Wednesday, along with our companion sky maps and our journal prompts over on Facebook Sunday through Thursday. So until then,